Naruto vs. Pain is one of the most important, iconic, and best fights in the entire manga. Pain's assault is a real standout arc in general, and this serves as an amazing climax to the arc. Of course, narratively, the fight is amazing, but it's also just really cool, with plenty of fun details and awesome moments. So in today's video, I'm going to be breaking down this fight in depth. I won't be doing a narrative analysis, so it may seem like I'm skimming over lots of dialogue, but this fight is incredibly long, and I want to break down the technical aspects of the fight, since there's a lot of details I think people miss. If I did that, and covered all of the deeper narrative within this fight, the video would be over an hour long easily, and it's already long enough. I'll also be breaking down this fight in order, so I will have the video broken into sections for each chapter of the fight. Before I begin, I would like to ask you to like the video and subscribe. I really do appreciate all support. I could go into the buildup of this fight in depth, but it's so extensive that it would be longer than the actual breakdown itself. Basically, everything from Jiraiya vs. Pain to Naruto arriving on the battlefield plays a part in the buildup of this fight. This section of the manga is also so iconic that all major points that build up to the actual fight are well known. Jiraiya dying to Pain, Naruto training to master the technique and defeat the opponent his master couldn't, Pain destroying Konoha, and Naruto arriving right after with one of the coolest entrances ever. Naruto arrives at the very end of chapter 429, but we really don't see him until the start of 430, which is where I will begin the breakdown. As I said, chapter 430 begins with showing us Naruto's new look in his perfect Sage mode. Naruto arrives to the battlefield along with several of the toads from Mount Myoboku. Naruto, as well as everyone else that arrived, is at first confused and think that they did not arrive to Konoha, looking around and seeing only destruction and clouds of dust. Ma, however, then specifies that she did summon everyone to Konoha and tells everyone to take a look around. Naruto then sees the Hokage monument and realizes that he is standing in a destroyed Konoha, with Ma telling him it's clear who did this, and that she senses the same energies as when she rode atop Jiraiya's shoulders. We then get a brief cutaway to some of the other residents of Konoha after Pain's destruction. We learn that Tsunade routed the chakra of her Byakugo seal through Katsuyu in order to protect all of the villagers. This, however, expended all of the chakra in the seal, and we see that the forehead mark is gone. We then see the 5 paths of pain that Nagato moved outside of the village in order to not damage them when he blew up Konoha. We see the Naraka path using the King of Hell to revive the Asura path that had been previously destroyed. We then also get an explanation from Konan that when Nagato focuses his power on the Tendo path, he's able to greatly raise his jutsu output, obviously in reference to the Shinra Tensei that blew up the village. Konan then goes on to say that this is a risky tactic, and that the other 5 paths are recovering more slowly than last time. We saw that when he did this massive Shinra Tensei, the other 5 paths of pain had to shut down. So what this probably means is that the other 5 paths of pain are just more slowly coming back to life after being disabled. After being revived, the Asura path then literally throws the animal path back into the middle of Konoha to summon the rest of the paths onto the battlefield. I think this is a pretty funny detail, but the Asura path doesn't even use any techniques or boosters. He literally just throws the animal path from outside of the village into the middle of it. We then see all 6 paths of pain are finally standing together in front of Naruto. A heavily fatigued Tsunade then stumbles between them and proclaims that she will finish off Pain. In response to this, the Asura path then rushes at Tsunade to finish her off, only to be intercepted mid-attack by Naruto and destroyed with the Rasengan. I think this is the first of many instances of Naruto being shown to be pretty clearly beyond Pain, at least in terms of his physical stats. Naruto is standing behind Tsunade here, and the other 5 paths of pain are looking directly in this direction. So Naruto moves from behind Tsunade to in front of her and destroys the Asura path without any of them reacting. despite the fact that the Pains have linked vision, so they should have no issue seeing Naruto approaching the Asura Path. Naruto is then compared to his predecessors, that being Minato and Jiraiya, a few times here. Tsunade sees a vision of Minato and Jiraiya standing behind Naruto, and then Gamabunta says, "Doesn't he remind you of the two to Pa?" The two, of course, being Minato and Jiraiya, with Pa saying that Naruto has indeed surpassed his predecessors. Most people, myself included, think this doesn't mean Naruto is overall stronger than his two predecessors, as it's pretty clear Naruto doesn't surpass Minato in terms of overall strength until later in the story. What it's most likely in reference to is his mastery of Sage Mode, which we know he surpassed both Jiraiya and Minato in at this point. But I think you could also say it means he just hits harder than the other two on top of his mastery of Sage Mode, since Minato's fighting style isn't really about his physical strength. Chapter 431 picks up immediately after Naruto taking down one of the Paths of Pain, with Pain thinking to himself that Tendo's power won't be fully recharged for quite some time, and because of this, he forms a formation that puts the Tendo path in the safest spot. Tsunade then gives Naruto a small piece of Katsuyu, telling him that Katsuyu has intel that will come in handy, and Pa tells Katsuyu to hide in Naruto's clothes. We then get a pretty cool demonstration of Naruto's new sensory in Sage Mode, where Naruto says he can sense everyone's chakra in the village, and asks Tsunade if Kakashi is away on a mission. Understanding that he is not away from the village, Naruto is then able to obviously conclude that Kakashi is dead. This is pretty crazy that Naruto is able to sense specific people's chakra across the entire village so precisely that he can notice the absence of a single person. Immediately after this, the animal path summons in the rhino, which Naruto grabs and just flips into the air. In response, the animal path summons in the dog and ox, which Ma and Pa then hit with Frog Song. I want to bring up a detail here that I've seen a lot of people think the genjutsu that Jiraiya used on Pain is Frog Song, but this is just incorrect. We get told what this genjutsu is called in the third data book, and it's called Demonic Illusion Gamarinsho. Frog Song has a separate databook entry in the fourth data book, and we learn it's not even actually a genjutsu. It is a ninjutsu that just disorients the target through loud noise, which we see is exactly what happens to the dog and ox summon. Whilst these summons are disoriented, Naruto then summons in two shadow clones that blow away the two summons using massive Rasengans. Naruto then rushes to engage the Preta Path, and whilst on his way to do so, gets some intel from Katsuyu that ninjutsu does not work on the Preta Path. In response to this, Naruto concludes that he should use Frog Kata. We then see Naruto and the Preta Path both throw attacks at each other that both seemingly miss. However, we then see the Preta Path gets hit anyways and blown away. We get a brief cutaway of Gamabunta alongside the other giant toads fighting some of Pain's summons. We then cut back to Naruto, where Pa explains that Frog Kata utilizes the nature energy around oneself, and because of that, it was able to extend the range of Naruto's attack and trick Pain. The databook further expands upon this technique, and I really think it's a shame that Naruto basically never uses it ever again. It's an extremely unique and also powerful ability, so with someone as creative as Naruto, I just think it's disappointing we didn't get to see him use it in more ways. Something I also want to mention is that I think this is the second example where Naruto is pretty clearly shown to be stronger than Pain. After hitting the Preta Path with this one attack, it does not get back up until it is revived later in the fight. So with a basic punch, Naruto just disabled one of the Paths of Pain. Chapter 431 then ends with Naruto proclaiming his new jutsu will finish this in one shot. Chapter 432 picks up immediately after, with Naruto summoning two clones to prepare a Rasen Shuriken. We then get some dialogue from Ma and Pa that show that Naruto never actually used this technique in training, and neither of them recognize what it is. We then get to see why Naruto called this a new jutsu despite having developed it earlier in the series, as we see him throw the Rasen Shuriken for the first time. We get a panel of the Paths of Pain moving out of the way of the Rasen Shuriken, and this panel includes an interesting detail. In this panel, we see the human path rushing to pull the animal path out of the way. We never get confirmation as to why this happened, but what a lot of people conclude from this, myself included, is that the Paths of Pain differ in terms of speed, and that is why the faster human path had to run and pull the slower animal path out of the way. Unless there is a speed difference between the paths, this seems like a useless move to do from Nagato. Despite it seeming like all the paths got out of the way of the Rasen Shuriken then suddenly expands, which catches the human path and destroys it. Right after this, the animal path summons in a bird to attack Naruto, which Naruto easily just jumps over. We then get a cutaway to Shikamaru and his father Shikaku, where Shikamaru is expressing that he thinks Naruto is arrogant for wanting to fight Pain all on his own. But his father then tells him that if Naruto has mastered Sage Mode, he is truly in a class of his own, and they just need to stay out of his way. We briefly see Gamabunta and the other giant toads still battling Pain's summons, and then see Ma and Pa saying they need to break the Rinnegan link and are going to put a plan into place to do this. We are then told by both Pain and Naruto himself that Naruto's Sage Mode is about to run out because he used up too much Sage energy with that last attack. Naruto then thinks to himself he has to at least take out the animal path before his Sage Mode runs out. After this, we get to see Ma and Pa's plan put into effect, where Pa throws Gamabunta onto Naruto and the animal path to swallow them inside of his mouth. Whilst in here, the other Pains cannot see them, so there's no linked vision, and in the darkness, the animal path cannot see, whereas Naruto has the sensory of Sage Mode. Naruto then destroys the animal path with a double Rasengan before exiting Gamabunta's mouth. Chapter 432 then ends with Naruto exiting Sage Mode, and us seeing a base Naruto that is sweating and huffing and puffing. This is actually a pretty great demonstration of one of Sage Mode's most overlooked aspects, that in Sage Mode, you don't actually get tired. Pa explains this by saying that you are constantly drawing in nature energy, so you do not progressively fatigue like most shinobi normally would. Before exiting Sage Mode, Naruto was showing no signs of fatigue. However, once exiting Sage Mode, Naruto is no longer constantly taking in nature energy, so all of the cumulative fatigue hits him at once. It's a subtle detail and they don't draw much attention to it, but I think it's a very cool way to demonstrate a strong benefit of Sage Mode that a lot of people don't even talk about. Chapter 433 picks up right after Naruto exiting Sage Mode, where Naruto thinks to himself that even in Sage Mode, he can only manage 2 Rasen Shuriken. With Pain seeing that Naruto has exited Sage Mode, the Tendo path then rushes forward, saying that this is his chance. Before engaging with Tendo, Naruto throws the scroll on his back to Pa, which we know from a prior conversation is to help re-enter Sage Mode. Whilst Pa is enacting this plan, Naruto briefly engages the Diva path in hand-to-hand. We then get to see how this scroll lets Naruto re-enter Sage Mode, where Pa summons a shadow clone resting at Mount Miyaboku that is building up nature energy. Naruto then releases the clone, and the built-up nature energy gets transferred back to the main body. This is a great demonstration of Naruto's creativity, where he gets around the limitation of not being able to have Ma and Pa build up nature energy for him by using the same aspects of shadow clones that was used for his Rasen Shuriken training prior in the manga. After re-entering Sage Mode, Naruto swats away an attack from Pain and then kicks him away. This interaction is once again another demonstration of Naruto being stronger than Pain. Naruto is able to hold off Pain whilst in his base state, and we know that Sage Mode increases your abilities significantly, so Naruto would of course then be stronger in Sage Mode, which we then get to see when he overwhelms Pain the second he re-enters Sage Mode. After Naruto kicks the Diva path away, he immediately prepares another Rasen Shuriken and hurls it at the Diva path. But before it lands, the Preta path lands in front of him and absorbs the Rasen Shuriken. Naruto is confused by this because he thought that he already destroyed the Preta Path. And Naruto then learns that he's right and he did destroy the Preta Path, but the Naraka Path was able to revive it using the King of Hell. Katsuyu explains this to Naruto, and then says that is why when Pain lined up in a formation, the Naraka Path took the rear of the formation. Hearing this, Naruto concludes he has to take out the Naraka Path first to stop Pain from reviving any other paths. We then see the 3 paths of Pain active regroup together, which I think is another small detail that shows Naruto's superiority in Sage Mode. Whenever Naruto is in Sage Mode, the Pains will stay together in a group. It's only when Naruto goes into his base state that Pain feels comfortable physically engaging Naruto and sending off the Naraka Path to revive other paths. In fact, at this point, there are still 3 inactive paths of Pain that the Naraka Path could be reviving. But because Naruto re-entered Sage Mode, he chooses to group the 3 paths of Pain together and not try to revive other paths. After the Pains regroup, we see Naruto throw up a cloud of smoke that he throws a Rasen Shuriken from. The Preta Path moves in to absorb this, but it's revealed to be a transformation jutsu that is actually Naruto who tackles the Preta Path, and then the real Rasen Shuriken is flying in behind this. This is of course a callback to Naruto using a transformation jutsu to become a shuriken back in the Land of Waves. With the Preta Path disabled by Naruto, it looks like the next Rasen Shuriken is going to hit, but right before it does, the Diva Path's power returns and he repels it with Shinra Tensei. Chapter 433 then ends with Naruto dropping down from above and taking out the Naraka Path with a double Rasengan. Chapter 434 opens with Pain noting to himself that Naruto had already leapt into the air when he threw up the cloud of smoke. Naruto and his clone then both rush at the Diva Path, but are both repelled by Shinra Tensei, with the clone dispersing from this. After being blown away, Naruto converses with Pa about this Pain's ability. Naruto says that he can't use any ninjutsu or taijutsu on Pain, which is pretty crazy to think about, that as strong as Naruto is in Sage Mode, he concludes he cannot use any attacks on Pain after being hit with one Shinra Tensei. Katsuyu then gives some intel to Naruto that there's a 5-second interval at minimum between Shinra Tenseis. Pa then says to Naruto that the best bet is to trap Pain in Genjutsu just like last time, in reference to when him and Ma used Gamma-Rincho to trap the Pains that Jiraiya was fighting. This conversation is then briefly interrupted for us to see Pain blow away Gamabunta as well as 2 other giant toads with a Shinra Tensei, and this Shinra Tensei throws the toads outside of Konoha. Shifting back to the conversation between Naruto and Pa tells Naruto that they're going to fire the Genjutsu immediately, but it takes a lot of Shinjutsu chakra, so it'll take some charge up time. After being asked by Ma, we then learn from Pa why Naruto only prepared 2 clones to help re-enter Sage Mode. And it's because having too many clones try to gather nature energy at the same time is simply too difficult, and 2 clones was the limit. Naruto then confirms that on top of this, he can only make 3 extra clones to help him in battle. Having just taken care of the toads that were previously distracting him, we see Pain shift his focus back to Naruto, where Pain tells Naruto that he is truly strong, and this is the farthest Pain has ever been pushed. He then pulls Naruto in with Banshu Tenin, and has the Preta Path grab him from behind. While this is happening, we see that Ma and Pa are already preparing Gamma-Rincho, so Naruto has to deal with this on his own in the meantime. We then once again get implications that Naruto in Sage Mode is stronger than Pain, with Pain telling Naruto once restraining him he won't kill him, with Naruto responding by laughing and asking Pain if he thinks he can hurt him considering he's in Sage Mode. Pain then acknowledges that Sage Mode is a bother, and goes on to just start sucking the chakra out of Naruto to disable his Sage Mode. Pain acknowledging that Sage Mode is a bother, and choosing a method of attack that doesn't have to go through Naruto's durability, along with Pain always playing defensively when Naruto was in Sage Mode, all goes to support that Naruto, whilst in his Sage Mode, is physically much above Pain. Chapter 434 concludes with Naruto having his chakra sucked out by the Preta Path and exiting Sage Mode. Chapter 435 picks up immediately after this, with Naruto realizing being restrained and unable to move is perfect, and begins to draw in nature energy once again. Naruto re-enters Sage Mode, and the Preta Path sucks it out of him again. But due to not being able to properly control the nature energy and taking in too much of it, the Preta Path then turns into a petrified frog. A little detail I want to note here is that this is the only time in the manga we actually get to see somebody become petrified from being unable to control nature energy they are intaking. After the Preta Path is petrified, Naruto then busts out of his grasp, but is left in base form and breathing heavily. Katsuyu then informs Naruto that the pain bodies are just puppets, and a mastermind resides somewhere else, obviously in reference to Nagato. Then, right as Pa and Ma build up the sufficient energy to launch Gamarinsho, Pain uses Banshu Tenin to pull Pa to him. Naruto rushes to try and intervene, but he is too late and Pa is stabbed by a chakra receiver from Pain. We then get a few cutaways away from the main fight, and one detail I want to note from them is that it cuts to Gamabunta after being blown out of Konoha by Pain, and he says that every single bone in his body was broken, which is just pretty crazy that Pain with a single Shinra Tensei was able to shatter every bone in Gamabunta's body. Cutting back to Naruto, we see Pain throw the body of Pa at Naruto, and after he catches it, Pain pulls him in with Banshu Tenin, and then pins him down with a chakra rod. We then get a panel of the Rinnegan eyes behind Naruto, and we've seen from earlier examples like with Kakashi, this effect is used to show the chakra disruption of the rods. Chapter 435 then ends with Inoichi saying that he has concluded how pain actually works. Chapter 436 picks up immediately after this, with Inoichi explaining how Nagato transmits chakra signals to the pain bodies. I'm not going to explain all of this in detail because I think everyone knows how pain works. After this, most of Chapter 436 is taken up by Pain explaining his ideology to Naruto, which once again, I am not really going to cover this because this video isn't a narrative analysis, and if I did cover all of this video would be an hour long. However, at the end of Chapter 436, we do get to actually see Nagato piloting Pain for the first time, where we see Nagato coughing and bleeding out of his mouth, with Konan saying that Nagato must rest because he has spent too much chakra. Chapter 437 opens with Pain talking more to Naruto, before shoving more chakra rods into him. Pain then explains that he's intentionally avoided any vital spots, but despite this, Naruto will be unable to move on his own. We then see Ma yelling at Pain, to which Pain just blows her away with a Shinra Tensei. Immediately after this, Hinata jumps in to try and engage Pain. After a brief speech to Naruto, concluding with Hinata confessing her love to him, Hinata tries to rush and take on Pain, to which Pain just blows her away with a Shinra Tensei that incapacitates her. The anime extended this sequence a lot and added a lot more to what Hinata did here, but in the manga, it's approximately a single page of Hinata missing every attack on Pain and then just getting one shot. Chapter 437 then ends with Naruto in a rage, entering his V2 six-tail state. Chapter 438 opens with the necklace the Tsunade gave to Naruto, activating a sealing jutsu that attempts to suppress the Biju chakra. In response to this, Naruto simply pulls off the necklace and crushes it, negating the jutsu. Also, for anyone wondering, I'm going to just be referring to Naruto as Naruto this entire time, despite him not really being in control here. After disrupting the sealing jutsu, Naruto then rushes at Pain, and Pain responds by attempting a Shinra Tensei. However, Naruto is able to just stab his tails into the ground and overcome the Shinra Tensei, reflecting it back at Pain. Pain is pushed away by this recoil, and then Naruto immediately follows up by preparing a Biju bomb. Using Banshu Tenin, Pain hits Naruto with a rock and turns his head, seemingly to attempt to redirect the Biju bomb. I've heard some people say that this means Pain didn't actually take a Bijou Bomb here and discredited it as a durability feat, but at best, all this did was stop Pain from taking a direct hit, which alleviated some force. But we know that the Bijou Bomb didn't just miss Pain, because after the explosion, he is missing his headband and some of his clothing is destroyed. So clearly he took at least some of the hit. Pain then notes how magnificent the Ninetales power is, right before running away. We learn right after that this is to bring Tendo closer to Nagato, and after fleeing into the forest surrounding Konoha, Nagato notes that he has brought Tendo close enough. Chapter 438 then ends with Tendo preparing a Chibaku Tensei. Chapter 439 opens with Nagato, and we see Konan pleading with him to not use the Chibaku Tensei because his body cannot take any more. But Nagato simply silences her and says that he must focus. We then cut back to Tendo, who throws the gravity sphere for Chibaku Tensei into the air, which begins to suck in the surrounding environment, and Naruto along with it. While being sucked in, we see Naruto attempt to break out by using Bijou Bombs, but is unable to do anything, and is eventually pinned to the side of the Chibaku Tensei and then covered in more rubble. After Naruto is trapped, we cut back to Nagato to see him huffing and puffing. Konan notes that Chibaku Tensei is massive, to which Nagato says the opponent is the Ninetales, so he can't go small. But despite this, compared to the Sage of Six Paths, this is absolutely nothing. Naruto then releases more of the Ninetales power in an attempt to break the Chibaku Tensei, and we see that it progresses to 8 tails. Naruto is just about to fully release the Ninetales by removing its seal, but chapter 439 ends with Minato intervening and stopping him. Chapter 440 opens with Pain seeing the 8 tails Naruto dig himself out of the Chibaku Tensei, and in response, Pain says that he should enlarge the Chibaku Tensei. I think a lot of people miss this line, but this shows that Chibaku Tensei that captured a 6 tails Naruto wasn't even Nagato's limit. Naruto then regains his resolve through a conversation with Minato, where at the end of the conversation, Minato rebuilds the seal for the Ninetales. Chapter 440 then ends with Naruto appearing on the side of the Chibaku Tensei, back in his human form and in Sage mode, with Pain noting that his doubt is erased and wondering what happened. Chapter 441 then opens with Nagato coughing up more blood and slumping forward. Right afterwards, we see the Chibaku Tensei crumble away. Adding on to the line earlier, where Nagato claims he could enlarge the Chibaku Tensei, I think people overlook this. Nagato created a Chibaku Tensei that was sufficient to seal the 6 tails. And even though Naruto eventually broke it, he claimed that he could enlarge it, and only stopped because Naruto exited the Ninetales form. The Chibaku Tensei then only crumbles because Nagato was so weakened at this point from expending large amounts of chakra. So basically, this is all to say, Nagato's Chibaku Tensei is a lot stronger than most people give it credit for. After Chibaku Tensei crumbles and Naruto returns to the ground, he explains that when he entered Ninetales mode, it agitated his chakra and dispelled the last shadow clone he had, building up nature energy, which explains why he entered Sage mode immediately after exiting the Ninetales form. We see the Katsuyu hidden in Naruto's clothes is still there and survived him transforming into the Ninetales form. After a cutaway to some of the other villagers and a brief conversation, Pain and Naruto face off for a final time, with Pain saying that Naruto is limited to 2 Rasen Shuriken before exiting Sage mode, and that if Naruto misses both Rasen Shuriken, he will lose. Pain then rushes at Naruto and tries to stab him, to which Naruto just catches the rod and kicks him away. Naruto then stabs himself using the piece of the rod he broke off, and manages to reverse track Nagato via the chakra signals he is sending to the rods, which once again is another great demonstration of Naruto's improved sensory in Sage mode. Naruto then summons 2 clones and prepares a Rasen Shuriken. Naruto creates a veil of smoke using a smoke bomb, and right after throws the Rasen Shuriken at Pain. In response, Pain blows away the Rasen Shuriken with a Shinra Tensei, and chapter 441 ends with it being revealed that it was simply a Shadow Shuriken. After some brief dialogue between Lee, Guy, and Katsuyu, Chapter 442 picks up with the real Rasen Shuriken hurtling at Pain. We then see two of the rocks next to Pain were actually shadow clones of Naruto that he had transformed into rocks. These two shadow clones attempt to grab Pain, but Pain just stabs both of them with a chakra rod and they both disperse. Pain then narrowly avoids the Rasen Shuriken by jumping over it. On top of missing this Rasen Shuriken, we see that Naruto has returned to base form. Despite it being a Shadow Shuriken, Naruto still launched 2 Rasen Shuriken, meaning he reached his limit. Pain thinks that Naruto is finished, but we then see that a massive amount of the rubble around Pain are all Shadow clones transformed to look like rubble. These Shadow clones then all try to jump Pain at the same time. But at the last second, Pain's Shinra Tensei interval resets and he blows them all away. While this disperses all of the clones actively attacking Pain, Naruto is able to use Shadow clones to support his main body and avoid being pushed away by the Shinra Tensei. Pain is shocked that Naruto is still standing after the Shinra Tensei and sees Naruto begin to prepare a Rasengan. But Pain thinks to himself that Naruto can't throw that jutsu, and in 5 seconds he will be able to recover. However, Naruto uses a clone to throw himself at Pain, landing a Rasengan before the 5 seconds, and finally defeating Pain. Chapter 442 ends with the last path of Pain going down, and Naruto having defeated him fully. Although Nagato is still alive, and the story after this is phenomenal, that concludes the end of the true fight between Naruto and Pain, and thus it's where I'm going to end the breakdown.